So LIZZIE is Stagecoach's first production using a live orchestra. And the theater already owned a Behringer S16 that talks to a Behringer X32 rack that's in the booth over AES 50. The nice thing about the S16 is it has the Ultranet for the P16 personal monitors built right in. So the musicians can customize their own monitor mixes using in-ears or small speakers. I'm actually using the Roland CM30 cubes for drums and for keyboard. Violin and cello have in-ears. Bass and lead guitar have in-ears, but we didn't have enough P16 personal monitors, so they're actually getting a custom mix off the X32. The biggest thing that made this a success was moving from a acoustic drum set to an electronic drum set. This is the Alesis Nitro Pro. It's okay. The nice thing about it is that you can choke the cymbals by squeezing these little bumps here. There's some issues with the hi-hat half open with the pedal. You'd have to get a much more expensive drum set to get really close to the way a acoustic set plays and feels, but this was pretty good, and it made a huge difference in our ability to mix and balance the orchestra with the vocals with the limited gain before feedback we do have. So we have keyboards left and right, drums, a little overhead mic for the Glock. Let's see, we've got lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass guitar, cello, and violin. And for this production, we are using the Sennheiser EWD wireless system, which has been working out pretty well. We had some issues with body pack placement and mic cabling, and we think we're pretty much on top of that now. So those are these receivers here, and those are connected to the Soundcraft Expression. This is a Soundcraft Expression 1. I may put in a Soundcraft Expression 3 for Urinetown, and that might end up staying here. This production also had a number of vocal effects, using a Yamaha SPX 990 for sort of the radio or on the phone effect, distortion, and reverse gate. We're using the lexicon. We're only using one of the 4 lexicons in the board for reverb and tap delay. There are a couple of songs that use that where you synchronize the delay to the beat before you bring it in. So here is the 990 send, the 990 return, the lexicon send, and the lexicon return. The reason why I have the sends here is some of the sound effects are like just on a word, and you want to feed that word into the effect and let it play out. You don't want to cut the output of the effect because then you lose the residual reverb or echo. It's not a big show, it's 4 mics. So I've got the mics and the effects on layer A, orchestra's on layer B, but on both layers I have my vocal and my orchestra submasters, so I can always be blending those no matter what I'm doing. Layer C is for the QLab effects, and layer D is just all my mix masters. We do have some sound effects in the show, and we have, let's see here. On our effects channels, we have front left, front right, rear left, rear right. And then I have music left, music right, because the pre-show music actually goes through a separate mix that can go only to the lobby in case we're still doing sound check in the house. And then there's a stage monitors, and an orchestra feed for certain effects that they need to cue for music or singing. So this is the first show with the new booth layout. It's been working pretty well. You might have seen my little photo earlier of me sitting here, but so I have now for this show, QLab is pretty much controlled by the light board. I don't really touch this except for fading out pre-show music or intermission music. I have my laptop here, allows me to do some stuff that I'll get into in a later video. Mostly talking to the A2 over Radio World. Script, keyboard for the Rack Mac Mini, and then, I went over the rack in the intro video. And there's still space here in front of the person. The booth actually seats 4 people now, and for this show, the stage manager is running from the booth. We have ClearCom intercom for all the stations up here, and that system is integrated with the EarTech wireless system that the stagehands use. And I don't know if you can see it from here, but the conductor actually has a white phone that can get on the ClearComs as well. Reason why this looks a little fuzzy is because that's that quarter stop fabric I showed you in the first video, where people can't really see in, but I can see out pretty well with the stage lights up enough to know what my cues are. And it's acoustically, all the fabric here is acoustically transparent. So I talked about how the S16 talks to the X32 rack over AES-50. Because the X32 has a Dante card in it, it's able to talk to the expression over Dante. So we have a lot of integration here. The orchestra comes into this board through AES-50, then Dante. And there are feeds going back back over Dante and then back over AES-50 to the S16. And so far it's worked fine. I really haven't noticed any latency issues. It's given us a lot of flexibility in that we're able to use the X32 as a stage box to some extent. Its inputs and outputs can be patched, and then we've got the ones on the board. The Soundcraft Expression with 54 channels, I'm talking about DSP channels, not just number of faders, just has a lot of bandwidth for a lot of stuff going on at the same time.